Hello, welcome to my channel, Share It with Merit. I'm Merit, and I am putting this channel together to share with you a lot of information that I have come to understand over my own development and growth, as well as many years as a licensed therapist and coach. And what I'm focusing on is growth, development, living a more authentic life, coming forward with your gifts, skills, passions, who you really are, want to be, what you're here to do, the legacy that you want to leave. And I'm gonna be posting a lot of videos about how to do that with a lot of different concepts and understandings that I've come to over the years and how to do that. And I'm going to start with some very basic information about how you got to be where you're at right now, right? And I probably shouldn't say basic. It's not basic. It's just a good foundation for launching off into other topics. But I think it's a really good place to start, which is, have you ever asked, how did I get here? Who am I and where am I? And is this what I really want for myself? A little bit of background about me. So I've been a licensed therapist for 11, 12 years now. And I'm shifting more into coaching because it's more in line with my gifts and talents and skills. And I want to be a catalyst to help others bring their gifts, talents, and skills forth, share them with the world, and make it a better place for all of us. And I feel like coaching is a better avenue for that. But a lot of what I've learned along the way is just in working with so many different people. If you can, imagine a population, I've worked with them. I've worked, in private practice with a lot of people who are growth oriented and doing this work that I'm going to be kind of delving into, but all the way to being a clinical director in a psychiatric hospital and everything in between. There's a lot of commonalities in all of us, in all of those populations, despite how maybe challenging or severe a particular issue or trauma may be. We all have some basic universal common experiences, and I think that can help to understand ourselves individually as well as one another a little better. And so I apologize in advance if I go off on tangents, but I tend to do that. So hopefully they're informative and helpful. But as you probably have already figured out, I'm not going off a script. I just have a lot to say. I want to share the information. I don't want to keep it between me and anyone I'm working with, because I see how powerful it can be, and I just want to share it with whomever wants to hear it. And it's not going to be for everybody. Nothing ever is. It is not a one size fits all. Like I said, I do think there are some sort of universal human experiences that hopefully most people will connect with on some level, but take what works, leave the rest. I just want to offer this up. And so this foundation I want to start with is, how did I get here? Right? And it really speaks to that nature nurture conversation. I don't know about now, but I know when I was growing up, it was presented as nature versus nurture. Which one is correct? Which is a whole other video I should do on our binary thinking. Are you a dog person or a cat person? Cold weather, hot weather. We put ourselves in these sort of binary binds that I love all animals. Where's that option? So small tangent. So nurture, nature, it isn't one or the other by any means. It is absolutely both. Some people may have a stronger nature than others in terms of a stronger sense of resilience and who they are. And then in everything in between, right? There's a continuum of that, as well as there's a continuum of of environments that we are spat out into this world, into whatever environment we are, right? And the environments can be everywhere from completely supportive and loving and nurturing, where, you're just able to thrive from an early age, all the way to destructive, abusive, toxic, dysfunctional, where you are taught very early to hunker down, get small, and abandon who you are. And everything in between, right? Well, we all fall somewhere on that continuum in terms of our own personal experience. And then, so once you've arrived, as this perfect little child with, essentially nothing wrong, right? Your nature is there, right? Whatever hardwiring, whatever potential is there. And then the environment comes in and says, the world says, well, this is who you are and this is how to do it, right? The environment starts to shape you in ways that are pretty much completely out of your control, right? How much control does a 6-month-old or a 6-year-old or a 16-year-old have, really, right? So we're at the whim and the mercy, if you will, of this environment in terms of how we develop beyond whatever our sort of inherent nature is, right? And that is where the challenge is, because, if you're one of the lucky ones in this, really extreme, supportive, loving, nurturing environment, then wonderful. And I wish we could all have that. And if you have that, be grateful and thrive and, and share yourself with us, right? Because, that's a beautiful thing. I think so many people, including myself, we had a lot of obstacles and challenges in those early years. And what happens essentially is that you have to survive. And excuse me, a little sip of water here. Our default setting is to survive, right? And as infants and babies and children, we have to figure out what the big people in the room need from us, or it's not going to go well for us, right? So to the extent that the environment is, harsh and critical and abusive and toxic, we have to survive, which means most of the time abandoning those parts of ourselves that would have otherwise thrived and flourished in a more, in a less hostile environment, right? And that's normal. You're supposed to do that. Your brain and your psyche and everything is just trying to get you to tomorrow as it should, because if you don't get to tomorrow, what's the point of any of this, right? So, but then once you hit, that magic age of 18, right? Essentially when you leave that, that early environment, that developmental environment, unless and until you take a step back and look and take stock. What happened, right? What was that? I'm an adult now, or at least I have more choice, more freedom. I'm out of the environment that was holding me back, right? Nothing is holding me back now. Only my own thoughts, right? My own mindset, my own beliefs. And so unless and until you take stock of that mindset, those beliefs, etc., that's going to continue to be how you function in the world. And those thoughts and beliefs and mindsets are based on your inner 6-year-old, right? 10-year-old, 13-year-old. And unless and until you make some adjustments and decide I'm going to have my adult brain, my thriving brain versus my survival brain come forth and take charge, take the wheel, so to speak, right? Then you will live really your whole life from the mindset and the perspective of a child who was not allowed to be their full self, right? So unless and until, And what I have found in my experience, and myself included, I didn't stop and look back until I was 35. Went to counseling, for career advice. Found out there was a whole lot of other stuff that I didn't, it was like wallpaper. It was my normal. I had no idea how much my own upbringing was constricting me from really emerging into the person that I could be and wanted to be, and hopefully have become and will continue to. So unless and until you stop and look and go, all right, hold up, right? And that's what I see over and over and over with the people I work with. And therapy, frankly, is that great place to stop and go, okay, let's it doesn't need to be, well, let me tangent a little bit here. This is part of the reason I'm sort of shifting from therapy to coaching as well, is because therapy is really wonderful for understanding all of this and how you got to where you are. Coaching, in my perspective, and it's just my perspective, is more about moving forward in the growth and development aspects, and sort of taking stock and looking, but really coming up with a plan and a set of goals for moving forward, and not staying too much in the past. So, and it's splitting hairs. I mean, I think there's a lot of crossover, but I'll save that for another video. So anyway, to kind of summarize, we're born into this experience, right? And it's a quick trip. So keep that in mind. I'll also get a little existential from time to time, because that's kind of my worldview, is that we are all here trying to figure this out together, hopefully. And if you start now to kind of take stock and look back, think about it this way. Wherever you've been, you're always at the sum total of your experiences and your choices, right? You're always right. This is how you got here, your experiences and your choices. And to the extent that you need to look back at how, especially usually those early years, how those experiences formed your current mindset, to the extent that it serves you, wonderful. Indulge in that, make it bigger, make it better. Whatever's working, do more of it. The stuff that isn't serving you anymore, you want to learn how to let go of that. That's going to be key, right? Because the more you stay in conflict, essentially, with who you aren't, it takes energy away from focusing on who you are and who you want to be. And, and I often say we're all working documents, who you've been, who you are, and who you will be, it changes, right? And it can continue to change. So if you want different, better, more satisfying, more meaningful, it's absolutely possible. Often we just have to get out of our own way based on stuff that was put on us that we had no choice about, but it has stuck because that's just sort of the way the brain works in that survival mode, unless and until we start engaging in the more thriving parts of the brain, which that's a whole other video, survival versus thriving brain. So that's probably a good place to stop, because I do want these videos to be, digestible, not super long. And then I can do different topics moving forward. But this is my first one, so hopefully it comes out all right. And all right, share it with Meredith.